Alright, so today we're going to take a look at how you can unlock all of the shells in Mortal Shell 2 in just a little bit over 1 hour. As always, a sub to the channel would be awesome, and let's begin. Now, quick reminder, when it comes to Haros, which is the first one you get to unlock, this shell unfortunately is only relegated to the prologue, meaning that once you are finished with the prologue, you're going to lose access to Haros altogether. Fortunately enough, there are 8 other shells to accompany us, so let's begin with them. Now, for the first 2, they are pretty straightforward. So the moment you get access to the open world, head over to the Widow's Overlook, which is pretty much the starting zone. And what we're going to be doing, instead of going to Tiel right away, we're going to take this route to our left and basically go all the way almost at the end of it, as we're going to retrieve Proxima first. Ignore all the enemies nearby, go past this bridge slightly to the right. There's also a beacon you can use nearby to save, but for the time being, I'm going to just ignore all enemies and then once again go past the Black Ridge Cliffs. Go up this middle way path and you should spot another beacon here in the middle of the water. You can ignore the 4-legged creature for now and simply head over inside. Once you're here, you don't have to fight anybody. Proxima's body will be here on the altar, so you can interact with it and activate her right away. This is, by the way, Proxima's location on the map. Her active ability is the Biosampler, an amazing gap closing ability. It can also bypass shields and also applies lightning stacks on the targets. If you build properly around this, it can provide other amazing bonuses, including calling down lightning storms. Meanwhile, for the passive, it provides grafted armor. This is a damage mitigation buff. Basically, it has a 15% chance to trigger whenever an enemy hits you, either with melee or ranged attacks. The mitigation by default reduces your incoming damage by 50%, but you can buff both the chance and the mitigation amount way higher via her skill tree. From this point on, we're going to make our way back to the Overlook, and now we can head over towards Mushroom Village, and nearby is where we will find Tiel as well. So simply follow my route down this canyon. Again, take down the enemies or ignore them, your choice. But before you actually enter the village, here's what you're going to do. You're going to keep it slightly to the right side. If you pay attention in the back, you should spot sort of like a cemetery. So if you go through the gates to the left directly, you should already spot Tiel right here in the exposed graveyard. Interact with him, a cutscene will play, and then he's pretty much going to be fully unlocked. And this is the location you can find Tiel in. His main ability is called Lingering Shadow. This lets you trigger an invisibility whenever you want, which also gives you access to Shadow Strike via the light attack. That's going to provide a significant amount of bonus damage, which you can further boost via the skill tree. He also features the Shadow Dash passive ability. This is going to let you enter that same invisibility whenever you perform a perfect dodge at the right moment. This is going to also provide some extra stagger on the target, so it's actually pretty welcomed. Now, once you've taken Tiel, our next destination is the Mushroom Village, basically the beacon right here in the middle. And by the way, on that note, I recommend also cleansing the majority of the first 4 beacons that you see all the way, but excluding the final gate in the area. That's going to let you also open up all of the other corrupted pathways, which will bring us exactly to the shell locations we need. Once that is taken care of, we can now head over to the Mushroom Village beacon, which is pretty much going to be in the middle of the starting zone. From this point on, we're going to turn to the right and follow this route towards the nearby houses. On the first bridge you see, turn a sharp left and head over through the area with the very strange NPCs. Ignore them for now and simply clear the corruption to reveal the path ahead. From here, we're going to follow the road to the right side up until eventually this brings us to a nearby cave. Simply ignore everything on the way and then exit the cave up until eventually you should spot a secondary smaller beacon to the left side of its exit. Save just in case, and once you're done, pay attention to the 1-legged wolf tavern that you see here to the right side. This is exactly where we need to be, so make your way over inside, and one of the NPCs drinking himself to death over here will be none other than Gragu, our next shell to unlock. However, he is going to be reluctant to talk to you, but if you just spam the dialogues, eventually he's going to cave in and tell you about the Heart of Vatra he wants you to retrieve for him. And luckily enough, that Heart of Vatra is actually really close by, so if we exit the tavern and keep an eye out to the right side here, you should see a series of bridges. This is actually going to bring us exactly at the temple that holds that heart for us. So use the jump gate, get to the other side, and now we reach the Temple of Vatra. Now, before you go all the way at the top of it, here where you will find the heart itself, don't retrieve it just yet. Instead, backtrack a little bit, either now or during the run sequence, and also retrieve the item from this chest. To unlock it, you need to light up 3 candles, so you can start counterclockwise, however you want. Simply follow my route. All of them will be in a semicircle over here, so you can easily activate them, and then go ahead and open it up. This is going to give you the Berserker Stone, which gives you a massive damage boost the lower your health is, and this is actually going to work really well for somebody like Gragu. Once done, we're ready to go all the way at the pinnacle once again, and now we can retrieve the Vatra heart from the statue. But the moment you do that, all of the paths over here will be blocked, so you have to use the adjacent routes and also avoid the enemies to make your way back. That should be simple enough, so once you're done with all of this, head over back to the tavern, give that in, and now you can unlock Gragu as a playable shell right away. By the way, to find the place where Gragu is, it's pretty much on this side of the map. This is yet another very beginner-friendly class. His main ability is called Staggering Blow, which is basically a death punch that you can, by the way, upgrade to either cause enemies to explode or even to rip the hearts out of their chests. Which brings us to his passive ability, which is basically the Revered Heart. This is going to replace your regular healing potions with the hearts of the enemies that you defeat, both in regular combat or by using the aforementioned death punch. All in all, if you're looking for a class that can spam healings back to back, this is the guy for you. You're going to be running through hearts like it's nothing, but it's been like one of my favorite builds to play with. Now, from here, it's time we also retrieve Eredrim, and there's actually a shortcut we can take to basically get to his location. So from this nearby beacon, follow my route downwards here, and instead of going to the tavern, we're going to actually go here almost close to the bridge and then up this area. There are a series of bridges that will eventually bring us on a one-way path towards some castle ruins. There will be an enemy here that you need to dispatch, so take care of it right away, and then pay attention to this sort of very funky looking bag on the side of the wall. Interact with it, and this is then going to bring you to the Citadel of Penance. Here is the bag location on the map, by the way, if you want to visualize it, and this is the place it teleports you to, just for a quick reference. But for the time being, I'm going to bust out of jail, take down this enemy, and we're going to keep it to the left side. If you go on this route, eventually you should see that there is a platform leading upstairs. So this is basically the one. If you jump on it, the platform will bring you to an upper level, and that's basically going to start the encounter. So for example, if I were to go in the middle of it, this is going to spawn the Warden boss encounter, which you have to defeat. Eredrim will be on this side of the zone, if you were wondering. If you manage to do so, this is going to give you access to Eredrim, who's exactly in that same location. So yeah, I'm going to show you what his skills are before I show you a different route you can take to basically do a little bit of game saving. In the meantime though, Eredrim features 3 new abilities. 2 of them are active, 1 is passive. So the active one is the Shoulder Bash. This is going to be amazing at break damage, literally stuns enemies almost in an instant, and you can also charge it up for even higher effect, so definitely worth it. Then there's a second one, which is the Ethereal Diapason. This is a musical instrument that you get to knock, and it's also going to cause a lot of break damage in a large AoE, which you can make even larger, by the way, and more devastating with some of the skill tree investments. And finally, he also features Executioner. Every single time you take down enemies with a riposte and they happen to be at low health, you gain Slaughterer stacks. And the more stacks of those you get, up to a maximum of 100, the higher the threshold of that low health will be, so that it counts as executed when we perform the riposte. It's going to tie in with some of the other mechanics that he features. Here's also a quick beacon, by the way, in case you're scared of that boss fight or you just want to get a little bit of a safety net. So what we're going to do is track back a little bit, and at the bottom we're going to keep it to the left. You should encounter a jump platform here, so absolutely use it and make your way at the top. From here, turn around to the left once again, and behind these walls you should find the beacon in the vicinity. So go ahead, perform the save file, and then you can go ahead and defeat the Warden. And also don't skip out on the Grudge Stone in the area. It's going to give you like guaranteed critical hits every 10, 7, and 5 hits if you fully max it out. Absolutely amazing for a Gragu build, by the way. But from here, we're ready to grab Smert. So from the chest, go outside and to the right, and then follow the same path as I am to the nearby outer edges of the castle. There should be a gate here you can open up with 4 enemies at the end of the path. However, midway through, keep an eye out to the left. There should be an opening in the wall so you can jump outside. This is, by the way, its location on the map, pretty much the outer walls. From this spot, do a sharp turn backwards and then follow this path down the nearby bridge. Eventually, this should bring you to a jump gate that will bring you to the Desolate Peak. There are some things happening in the area here as well, but for the time being, I'm going to ignore them and I'm going to push towards the next jump gate in the distance. Here we have 2 possibilities. Choose the lower platform as a jumping point, as it's going to be literally right next to Smert's location. Now, this area will be protected by some of these cultist enemies. Just take them down, and once you're ready, pay attention to the middle of the circle. At the end of it, you're going to find an altar with Smert laying on top of it. Simply interact with it, and that's going to unlock the brand new class for you. This is, by the way, the precise location you're going to find Smert on the map. Now, at the current time, this is literally the strongest character in the game with a proper setup, because it can literally stop time permanently, meaning that no enemy can actually attack you. So it literally trivializes the game so much. That is because one of his main mechanics is a miracle. With this one, he basically almost stops time completely or makes it very slow. Turns on to complete melee attacks, which now apply chaos stacks on that target, and if you exit that, it's going to automatically trigger all of those chaos stacks at the same time. A chaos basically is a condition that can trigger any other condition in the game on that target, so you can have like electric, freeze, a blood curse, or anything else with high enough curse stacks triggering all at the same time on the targets. But there are ways to actually take down those enemies without stopping this ability, so you can literally take them down during the stop time, and it can get even wilder with proper builds. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that in a separate video. He also features Faith at low enough HP, below 10%. He turns, well, into Faith, and that's going to increase the resolve generation. That's basically it. Now, from this point on, we need to go to the second half of the main map. So for this, we need to return to the top of the Marrow Keep, clear out this corruption here, which is clearable, by the way, from the beginning of the game. And this should give you access to a new teleporter location at the outskirts of Mammon. So simply make your way over there, and here are the routes we're going to take. The first one is going to be Genessa, so we're going to head over through the middle of the battlefield here, going past the castle walls, and around the start here of the bridge, we're actually going to jump down through this gap. Pay attention to some of these enemies and just stay clear of them. Go through the archway nearby, stop time if you have to, and at the end of this lower ledge, you should find another teleport gate. Jump through it, and this should bring you to the red biome. From here, simply take the flight of stairs all the way at the top and then keep it to slightly left up until you see this large wall with a bunch of statues called the Revenant Graves. If you keep an eye out for that wall there in the middle, you can actually get close to it and already start seeing some of these Sester shades, basically. But at the end of it, you're going to find a sensor you can interact with. Inside, there's going to be another boss encounter. If you have the axe that we talked about in the Perfect Start guide, this should make quick work over, by the way. Plus, the slow time mechanic, it actually makes this and even trivializes the boss encounter, even at level 10 that I had at this stage. So, shouldn't take too long before you defeat her, point at which you're going to fully unlock the sensor from her. This is, by the way, the dungeon location if you want to retrieve the sensor and bring it back to Genessa. Now, with that item, you need to return back to Marrow Keep and now talk to Genessa back at her fighting arena. With the sensor in your inventory, you should now spot a new dialogue option appearing at the top, so just interact with it, and that's going to completely unlock her as a unique playable character from this point out. Not a shell, but actually a complete playable character, but it kind of behaves like a shell, so yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. Its main active ability is called Faithful Doubles. With Triangle or equivalent, you get to summon shades that are basically clones of yourself. By default, these only perform one attack, but you can upgrade them to perform up to 3 and even use any weapons that you got unlocked, and including abilities that you have activated. So you can actually make these extremely strong in proper build setups. And then you also have Duality. When Genessa's health is depleted or basically you die, instead of getting knocked out of it, she becomes Stray, basically the red version, instead of being severed from the Harbinger. That is why I said she's a separate character. There's actually a secondary build you can create that purely focuses on the Stray. So you can have multiple other red strays with you that completely mimic your attacks at the same time. You can literally triple your damage very easily with this, but you can die a lot easier. So just keep that in mind. For the time being though, we're going to go back to the outskirts waypoint exactly where we started. And now we're going to take this route to the right side, basically downwards, following the wooden roads. If you follow the same route as I am, there's going to be like a map fragment in the vicinity. And also at the end of this path, another jump gate that will bring you to the deserted slums. There's going to be another beacon on the left side if you want to go ahead and take it. But for the time being, I'm going to ignore it and go upwards. Be mindful of this throwing rock troll here, and then use another jump gate to go at the other top. Here you can stop time so that you don't have to deal with enemies and just continue the same way as I am, all the way almost at the top. Eventually you should reach a castle area by this bridge, so simply follow my route deeper into the High Lord's Keep. Towards the end, you should find a jumping platform, but for the current time, what you can do is take the slight entrance here to the left, where you will find another beacon that you can use to save, just in case the next encounter goes horribly wrong. Once you've gotten that, you can go back to the platform we just talked about, jump over the ledge, and then head over to the other side, pass this enemy and the wall behind it, and then enter inside of the keep deeper in the dungeon to the right. We're gonna do this by going all the way at the end to the Royal Crypt of Mammon, ignore all the enemies for the current time, and then just jump down here in the boss arena. Now this should also go pretty simple, especially with a character like this and the Great Axe, and once you dispatch this target, it's going to open up the secret door behind it, which now gives you access to none other than Lazlo. And of course, the location for Lazlo, it's pretty much going to be here on the side of the region. So this chunky fella is probably going to be the highest HP tank shell in the whole game. His main ability is called Retribution, and with it you can unleash multiple shockwaves that deal damage and get to overheat your character. And once it's fully maxed overheat, which is indicated by the bar, you can unleash the Retribution one more time to basically cause a massive explosion that also applies burn stacks on the targets and interrupts them. You can actually make both the shockwaves and the retributions, provide extra break damage as well, so many builds are possible with this setup. And of course, he also features the passive Fortified Plate, has a base 10% damage reduction. As long as his armor is on, the armor will only be off once it enters cooldown for a brief moment, but you can get other buffs during that moment with a proper build setup. So again, if you want to see more builds around these, let me know in the comments. But all of this brings us to our final shell, which belongs to Sariel. So for this, we're going to go back to the outskirts of Mammon once again. And once again, we're going to take that middle path through the nearby broken wall. However, this time around, we're going to go at the end of the road to Absolution, going past these enemies to another jump gate nearby that will eventually bring us to a second Castigator's Keep. So keep in mind that for the time being, you may not be able to unlock much of the stuff in the vicinity. That is why we're gonna keep it to the left side here at the edge of the castle, using the scaffolding to navigate to a nearby bridge, where we will keep it once again to the left side, going past any of these annoying enemies. At the end, you should find a gate that gives you a quick jump pad, and then another launch pad here that gives you access to the area above you. From here, ignore the enemies, and we're going to exclusively keep it to the right side for the current time. At the Snail Monsters, we're going to do a quick sharp turn over here, and then another left, going up this bridge, which should bring us exactly to the temple area we need to be in. So at the current time, the only thing we need to do is go up this flight of stairs all the way at the top. Now at the top, you're going to notice that Sariel is actually sitting over there on his initial boss encounter, which if we defeat will open up this secret sort of like wall over here, which will bring us deeper into the temple. However, for the time being, I'm going to ignore that and actually go to the opposite side so we can activate a nearby beacon just in case anything goes horribly wrong once again. We really want to save in the vicinity as the other places are very far off. And from here, the only thing remaining is to jump back and make our way towards our first Sariel boss encounter. So for this, we're going to jump in the arena, and I'm going to use my running, heavy attacks, stop time mechanics, and anything in my power to basically take it down. He took me down actually first, but it doesn't really matter. We have plenty of damage to actually dispatch him. And that's now going to eventually open up that door you see in the background. It will take a couple of seconds, but as you can see, yeah, it's now pretty much opened. So from here, we're going to make our way up that new flight of stairs that just opened up, ignore the enemies once again, and at the end here, we're going to drop inside of the next dungeon. Oh, and this is the location for Sariel's temple area I was talking about previously. Now here at the bottom, we're going to jump down and we're going to have an immediate encounter against him in the Chamber of Becoming. This is only the second out of his third phase, but it should go easy as you only need to bring him down to half HP before the next wall in the background also opens up. Now, for the final encounter, what I want you to do is ignore Sariel completely and only take him down after you destroyed these 4 statuettes on the sides of the arena. Otherwise, he's going to revive. If you do that, you can now take him from half HP to 0 very easily in just a couple of shots. And that's going to completely unlock him for you, as well as his signature Clockwork Scythe, by the way. You can definitely retrieve that. Also retrieve the body from the ground, which gives you access to Sariel himself. And if you go all the way at the end of this chamber, you're going to get the Caged Historics as well, which is going to be his signature sidearm. But like I said, you can use these on any of the other classes you want with no penalties. Now, this guy's playstyle is kind of like a warlock slash affliction sort of mage that basically curses targets with his series of spikes he launches out of his body using the Exodus of Thorns. This is also going to cause pain on him, which is basically recoverable damage. You can play with this mechanic so that whenever you recover that pain back, it's going to cause other mechanics to pop up, like for example a shockwave that builds up break damage on the target. That has actually been really useful, but it's a high risk, high reward sort of play style. It does take a bit of time to get used to. It kind of makes him a little bit like on the weaker side, but yeah, it's going to take a little investment before he becomes truly OP. I imagine that once you go deeper with proper items, setups, and upgrades, he's going to be much better. But for the time being, that should pretty much conclude all of the 8 out of 8 currently available shells in Mortal Shell 2. Of course, if there's any future ones unlocking and you see this video at a later date, keep in mind that this is for the launch version only. In the meantime though, let me know in the comments which one of these is your favorite class to play. And on a similar note, also check out my perfect start guide if you want to get the perfect setup from the very beginning to feel strong and also take down enemies even quicker. That may also help you with recovering all of the shells in the first hour of gameplay. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.